What is going on out there, Mountaineer basketball fans, college hoops fans, college sports fans, whoever you are? Thank you for stopping into this impromptu live stream that Paul and I decided to do for you guys tonight as we talk about the breaking news. This mess with the West Virginia basketball program just continues to get worse. But before we get started, we've got to give a shout out to our sponsor. Real quick, we want to read that and let you know where you can get your next vehicle. This episode is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing means you get the best deal right up front on any new or pre-loved vehicle in stock every time.
With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Kia, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to put you in the car or truck you've been searching for.
Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com or come in today to the home of friends and family pricing, only at a Dutch Miller Automotive store near you. And they also have locations in Charlotte, North Carolina, Bristol, Tennessee, and El Dorado, Kansas. So, with that being said, Paul, let's jump right in, man. As you're talking, I'm going to pull up these tweets. And some people may not even realize what's going on. So, go ahead and let everybody know.
Apparently, Bob Huggins and his camp are saying that he did not resign willfully. Sounds to me like they gave him an ultimatum and he said, listen, say what you want to, but I don't agree to it. Something along those lines. Maybe it was just a verbal thing, and maybe there's some kind of loophole they're trying to exploit. But basically, Bob Huggins is going to try to sue his way back into the basketball position, believe it or not, at West Virginia University. I think he realizes how tarnished his legacy is with this, and is trying to right it, and by doing so is only causing more harm to the situation. While I understand why he wants to do this, um, sometimes we just have to let go with things in life. You know, if he wants to coach again so bad, take a year off, get your health right, and coach somewhere else and kick West Virginia's ass in that. But thinking you're going to get Josh Allen's position after everything that's gone and happened, it's over with, man. And it's not that personally I'm against the Bob Huggins return. I've said it openly on the show. It's something I would probably be open to. But as of right now, man, this is not what I was hoping to see out of Coach Huggins. I'm extremely upset with the timing of this. The portal window is still open. There are so many things that this could bring upon the university as far as financial harm. They're already 35 million plus in the red. Some people will probably blame this on Gee as well. I mean, there's just so much to all this, not to mention the players and what they're going to go through, the distractions. And this could turn out to be a straw that breaks the camel's back. Right on the heels of some good news, it seems that Jake Couz is just tweeting out. Thought we were counted out, not so fast, my friends. And uh, it's so frustrating, man. I am really upset with Bob Huggins and the timing of this.
Me too, buddy. Me too. I'm gonna go ahead and I've got it up on the screen. First off, Joey Foster, thanks for the comment. He says this is too much. We don't need this drama at WVU. Huggins is done and don't have a leg to stand on here. University lease vehicle is grounds for termination. And if you don't know what he's talking about, Huggins was in a university owned vehicle or lease vehicle when he got the DUI. And if that happens in pretty much any company in America, you're going to get fired. Uh, doesn't matter who you are. Let's because the liability aspect there is just unbelievable. But there's a lot of tweets. The first to report this was Hoppy Kercheval, who, for those of you who don't live in West Virginia or aren't West Virginia fans, Hoppy Kercheval is one of the most respected broadcasters in the state, arguably the most well-known broadcaster in the state. Not only he does sports, but he does news. News is actually his primary focus, news and politics. But he also does some sports stuff as well. He's on the Three Guys Before the Game podcast with Tony Caridi, Brad Howland, where they talk nothing but sports. But Hoppy was the first to report this. He's with West Virginia Metro News, actually, and I accidentally clicked off of it. Let's do this again. We're live, baby. You never know what will happen here. Um, But here's the first tweet he put: breaking, former, and this was less than an hour ago. Breaking, former WVU head basketball coach Bob Huggins sends letter to WVU demanding a reinstatement or he will sue. Claims he never resigned. The next tweet, and there's a lot of these guys, so bear with me. Huggins' letter will open a major fight with the university. WVU will stand by the contention that Huggins resigned. WVU believes Huggins' claim is without merit. We will learn more when WVU issues its response shortly. He goes on to say just what Paul did. Huggins is making matters worse. The more he makes these claims, the less likely it is that WVU leadership, Board of Governors, will want anything to do with the former coach. Yeah, he's tarnishing his legacy here, no doubt about it, in my opinion. Huggins making curious claim that he never actually resigned. WVU put pressure on him to either retire or be fired. Huggins' attorney letter. Here's what Huggins' attorney had to say. Coach Huggins never signed a resignation letter and never communicated a resignation to anyone at WVU. Accordingly, the WVU public comments are not only false, but appear to be an after the fact attempt to remedy WVU's breach of the employment. Huggins' lawyer says he voluntarily entered rehab. To demonstrate his commitment to the WVU basketball program, he took the step of entering the program on a voluntary nature. Coach Huggins will be released from the program soon, and we will provide you with a full release for Coach Huggins to return to his active duties as head basketball coach at WVU.
Wow.
WVU's response to Huggins' attorney saying Huggins never resigned, completely factually inaccurate. More of WVU's response to Huggins' attorney's letter. What is clear, however, is that on the evening of June 17th, 2023, Mr. Huggins met with members of the men's basketball staff. What the heck just happened? I didn't even hit anything. Good grief.
It
Sorry,
probably
guys.
just loaded in another ad.
I
It
think it did.
happens.
Sorry about that, guys.
This is unbelievable. It really is. I'm glad he went to rehab. That's breaking news in
It is.
itself.
Okay, here we go. Mr. Huggins met with the members of the men's basketball staff and student athletes to announce that he would no longer be coaching the team. So he did that. I mean, so why would he do that if he wasn't resigning? Makes no sense. All right, then it says another quote from WVU. If Mr. Huggins is somehow now maintaining that he did not resign after discussions with his attorney on June 16th or 17th, then we would ask that whoever is taking that position on his behalf to do their due diligence before asserting a position that is clearly contrary to the documented evidence. The university will not accept Mr. Huggins' revocation of his resignation, nor will it reinstate him as head coach of the men's basketball program. If Mr. Huggins or his counsel attempts to publicly suggest that he somehow did not resign and retire, please be advised that the university will swiftly and aggressively defend itself from these spurious allegations. The response from WVU makes clear, and this is Hoppy's words here. The response from WVU makes clear it believes Huggins' claims are spurious, and it will stand by its position accepting Huggins' resignation. On June, now this is well, this ain't the part I was really wanting to focus on, but it says on June 17th, WVU accepted Huggins' resignation, and I quote, "Coach, we accept your resignation and wish you the best in retirement. We appreciate your many years of dedication to WVU." This from AD Rim Baker. Now listen to this. This gets crazy. WVU releases Huggins' resignation letter that came from his wife June. Please accept this correspondence as my formal notice of resignation as WVU head basketball coach and as notice of my retirement from West Virginia University effective immediately. That was from his wife. So how does he have any way to defend himself here? Now here's Jeff Jenkins, who's also from Metro News. He says, and this is just weird. WVU also says it's getting mixed messages from Huggins' attorneys. Just yesterday, talked to Bob Fitzsimmons, who was inquiring about benefits for Huggins in light of resignation. Today, another attorney claims he didn't resign. And basically,
Maybe
Hoppy says WVU is going to fight this. Obviously, his opportunity to rehabilitate his image and take on an elder statesman role is diminishing. And this is what I want to get to, Paul. Josh Allard, interim WVU head coach Josh Allard, has enough on his plate. Now this, really, from Hoppy? I just don't. If the way I feel about this And they're talking. Wait a minute. There's more. Jeff Jenkins says Huggins' attorney says Pittsburgh DUI charge will go away. Coach Huggins was involved in an incident in Pittsburgh that is now close to being fully resolved without charges. Huh. Wow. Anyway, all right. That's enough of that.
Guys, if there's 112 people in here, so if you want to be part of the conversation, steer it in a direction you want to go in, hit that $ button below, send a super chat, support us. We're trying to do this at 10:30 at night for you guys, and I got up out of bed to do this. This is breaking news. Got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, like Paul said, with that many people in here, there's a lot of people in the chat room as well. It's impossible for us to read every chat. So if you want to make sure yours gets read, highlight it by making a donation with the $. But anyway, I don't even know where to start, man. But the first thing I want to talk about is Eilert. This guy has given Bob Huggins his loyalty and his work and his dedication for 17 years, man. Moved his entire family from Kansas to West Virginia as a grad assistant, mind you, so he wasn't making a lot of money. Took a chance on Bob Huggins, stayed with him the entire time, and he made it a comment that he's had opportunities to leave and take other jobs, and he didn't. This is how he gets repaid for his loyalty. This is a slap to Josh Eilert's face by Bob Huggins. Obviously not literal, but metaphorical slap to his face by what he's doing here, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm sure it puts Coach Eilert in a really tough spot. I would expect him not to answer too many questions about this. Number one, out of loyalty to Huggins. Number two, out of he's probably going to be hurt by it as well. He probably also understands that this is all Bob Huggins has, and he knows the pressure that Hugs put on himself to bring the state a title, and championships, and all these promises he made that he would fix it. And so I think that would all play, there's a lot going on here. And while I do agree with you that it's a slap in Eilert's face, I think Eilert is probably still loyal to Hugs too in a lot of ways. This one thing, Eilert's probably not going to personalize it. This is more of, maybe Eilert believes that. Maybe Eilert believes that Hugs didn't really actually resign, but he still want to take the job. We don't know what the whole situation is. I mean, those are quote tweets there, but there's no documentation about his resignation yet. I want to see that. I want to see all that stuff. But either way, Hugs is in the wrong.
Well, they released a statement.
If there's a clerical error,
yeah,
that's you're right. Right. It's a statement, though.
Yeah, true. We don't know for sure that Hugs wrote it.
That's my point.
Yeah.
I feel it almost feels like he's trying to say they gave him an ultimatum. He chose not to accept either one.
Yeah, but why is he just now coming out and saying this then? Why did he wait till now to do this?
He's in rehab, maybe. He thought maybe he was under the impression he needed to go right into rehab. I mean, it's total guessing game.
I know.
But I mean, I'm not in any way trying to say he's in the right, like I said. Just trying to look at it from the other side to try to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah. Want to recognize Daniel Gigax for the $4.99 super chat. Daniel, we thank you, man. Is this just a way for Huggy to get a buyout? Even then, his morality clause in his contract would kick in. And who is left on the roster? I was thinking the same thing, Daniel, when I first read this, because if he resigned, he would get nothing, basically, is the way I understand it. Whereas if they fire him, they probably have to give him a buyout. So there could be some of that here. And I hate to hate on attorneys here, but this almost reeks of an attorney getting in his ear and saying, "Hey, man, you can get money from this by, And that's total speculation. I don't want to accuse anybody of doing anything, but it just reeks of that to a degree. But here's my thoughts on it. If he didn't really resign, and it was all made up, then he absolutely has the right to do this. But it looks like, according to what Hoppy's put out there, what Jeff Jenkins and others have put out there, the university has hardcore evidence that he did resign.
Right.
So, like you said, though, they're probably going to play the card of, well, he was forced to resign, right? Which in essence is the same thing as firing him, right? So that's what makes me think. And if he does come back, they're just going to fire him, probably with calls, which
Right.
then he probably would. So, I mean, this is getting ugly, man. This is totally ugly. And I just, I don't know, man. Uh,
It's one thing after another
I
for
can't.
Ren Baker.
I just can't. Yeah, and Rim Baker. I mean, my gosh, the guy has stepped into an absolute dumpster fire. Yeah, I love him too, Joey. And you're right. I'm not going to say what this guy here said that I'm not even going to acknowledge in the chat room. Um, he, he's made some mistakes. He's done a lot of things he shouldn't have done, but
Yeah.
he's still done a lot of good for our state and and the University of West Virginia University, I should say. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to hate on him, but I also recognize the reality of the situation. Everything he's doing here is nothing but more damage to the university, in my opinion, and to the basketball program, and to his loyal assistant coach, Josh Eilert, and to the other members of this staff. I mean, to me, there's nothing positive that can come out of this, in my opinion, for this school or this program. And right now, guess what's the number one thing trending on Twitter right now? Bob Huggins. More negative publicity, more negative news about WVU that we don't need. You know, we were getting back to, talking about West Virginia being rated last in the polls. We were getting back to talking football again, and boom, this happens. Just, man, it's disheartening, man. It's really frustrating as a fan, and I can't even imagine what Rim Baker, Josh Eilert, and all those people are going through right now. Rich
Yeah.
Finster says 120 people. Now we're up to 137. Only 11 likes. Come on, guys, hit that like button. Love Coach Huggins. However, he definitely needs to step back this year. Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with that statement.
It's almost like I'm assuming he's been in rehab, and I don't know how much communication he's had or what. I'm sure he's had some. He probably went to a really nice place, but it's almost like he doesn't know that multiple players have left the program, leaving it absolutely decimated, and they're left trying to scramble to pick up the pieces. And just when we get some visitors coming to town, this news breaks. It's almost like it's intentional to try to. I don't know this. It's just like, I'm trying to think of different things. Like, I wanted to believe that Coach Hugs wanted this team to succeed, but the more things like this happen, it's almost like he's indirectly trying to sabotage it so that somebody can't win in his stead with this roster. And this is what it's starting to reek of a little bit. And it's really starting to really perturb me, man. At the end of the day, I bleed gold and blue. I don't bleed Coach Huggins. I do to an extent, man, and I've defended him on the show after the slur and after the DUI. I said I would take him back both times. But this here is, to me, the most harmful thing he's done so far for the university. Not to anybody on the road or in the gay community, but to the university, man. This right here is going to probably be, believe it or not, the biggest news of it all. Pat McAfee will be talking about this tomorrow in front of 40,000 people in his chat.
Yeah.
Or day after tomorrow.
Right.
Whenever
Jacob Yoho, thank you for the $2 super chat. He says, I hope Huggins wins and gets the job back. Well, if he does, hey, if he ends up winning this thing and WV ends up being in the wrong, I will tell you that, hey, bring him on back. But I just don't see how in the world they could be. I mean, there is no way. I just don't get it. And a lot of people in here blaming Ren Baker. It's my understanding, and I could be wrong on this because I wasn't in the room, but from everything I've read from media and people I've talked to, it seems like Gordon Gee is actually the one who did this, not Ren Baker.
Yes.
This went above Ren Baker's head. Is my understanding.
Yes.
So You can blame Ren
We
Baker all
had
you want to. Ren Baker has a boss too, guys. We can't forget that. Jacob, thank you for the super chat, man. If you guys want to make sure your chat
thank
gets
you.
read, do what Jacob did, do what Daniel did earlier. Drop a super chat in there. We really appreciate it because, like I said, we can't get to all of them. We'll try to read some as we want some that stand out or that we have a chance to read. But to translate what Paul said, I root for WV Mountaineers, not the WV Huggy Bears.
Yeah. At the end of the day, when it comes down to brass tacks, I'm a Mountaineers fan. And when something starts to hurt, the wins and losses and the culture around the program, that's when I take a step back. There's 8 players on this team right now, and especially Kobe Johnson, Seth Wilson, Pat Suminick, and who am I missing that's really stayed loyal? Is there any more? I think
Sumnick,
Kobe
Johnson,
Johnson.
Seth Wilson. I think there's one more. I just can't think of who it is off the top of my head.
Anyway, these kids that have stayed loyal to the program, um, I don't know. Just this just hits a little different for me for them too. They don't want to keep going through this and answer. Thank God they're not in front of the media every day and having to answer questions and all this stuff.
Yeah, really. I don't even know what that means, John Waffle, to be honest. Supporting Huggy and watching Rome burn are two different things. Absolutely. You can love Bob Huggins and still want what's best for Western University at the same time. It doesn't have to be one or the other. In my opinion.
Yeah, and I get upset with people I love all the time.
Absolutely.
This does not long term change how I feel about Bob Huggins. He's a legend. He's somebody I cried when he got fired or resigned or whatever the hell happened. When this whole thing happened, I cried like a baby. But this is hurting the university. Anybody who doesn't believe that is flat out wrong. This is not helping. Bad timing. Bad timing. We're sitting here with 8 players, less than a few months away from a season where these kids are going to try. Where we've got a core of players that are still pretty good, we think, and they're trying to add more pieces. We've got cryptic tweets coming out by Jay Couz that is making me think like, oh wait, things are on the up and up. We're getting some players here, and then this news drops. People want to advise these kids not to touch the situation with a 10-foot pole. It's very frustrating.
Yeah. Speaking of the Jay Coons tweet, here it is. About an hour ago, just literally like 5 minutes before the news broke. Jay Coons put out this tweet with Leonardo DiCaprio laughing. I think that's from the Wolf of Wall Street movie, I guess. I'm not sure. I
Yeah.
haven't seen that movie, so I wouldn't know. But anyway,
Oh,
says
you're missing out.
says they're down, they're out, LOL, wrong with a wink emoji. So that tells me that we had visitors there this weekend. One of those guys probably committed, would be my guess, just based on that tweet. And now this, just really frustrating, man. Really frustrating. Like Paul said, the timing is just absolutely terrible.
And they've been working really hard on Quinterly from Alabama, the Alabama transfer, former 5-star player for Villanova and Alabama. Everything I've heard is that if he doesn't commit to Memphis after that visit, we've got a shot there. And I'm not saying that's what this was about, but those are the kinds of things my mind starts to go to. Like, can you imagine if we get that kind of guy in, and all this stuff, man? It only hurts it.
Josh says, do y'all think Ren would have possibly worked with Hugs and maybe Gee shut the idea down? It's possible. It's very possible. Because I brought up I was on a Twitter Spaces one night about this with I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head has left me, but he's a guy who covers college basketball coaching searches really, really aggressively and does a really good job at it. But anyway, he was doing the Twitter Spaces, and I spoke up and made the comment that one thing nobody's talking about is one of Ren Baker's mentors in life is Eddie Sutton. Eddie Sutton hired him when Eddie Sutton was the coach at Oklahoma State. He hired Ren Baker to be a grad assistant on the basketball team. Eddie Sutton had to retire or resign from Oklahoma State for DUI. So he has seen what this happened to Eddie Sutton. So if anybody's going to have empathy for Bob Huggins, it would be Ren Baker. And I've heard Ren say, hey, me and Bob developed a really good relationship. We have a mutual respect for each other. But what I don't understand as I think through this, Paul, I've heard Ren Baker say he and Bob Huggins had a phone conversation the day after he resigned, or maybe it was a day, 2 days, whatever it was, within the next day or two. So would this not have come up then? I mean, maybe it did. I don't know, man. It's just, I'm sure if it did, Ren's not going to talk about it publicly. But he said he even asked Huggins who his choices were for coach, to be the coach,
Yeah,
to be his replacement.
right. Yeah,
So if they're having those types of conversations, does that sound like a guy who hadn't resigned to you? It just doesn't make any sense.
there's definitely some conflicting things going on right now. But here's what I think. Even if there was some kind of verbal agreement between all of them, that's not binding. So maybe he's thought about this and said, "Hey, I didn't sign anything. Might as well give it a shot." And I mean, this is because based on what you just said and other things that we've been talking about today and before today about him, basically, like you said, here's who I would hire. Talking to the kids, Kirk Creesa being one of them, the people that stayed because of Bob Huggins, we heard. So we've had trickles of info that would basically say that he resigned, but maybe he interim to him meant until he gets out of rehab. I mean, interim is and in the interim until something else happens. So maybe all along he thought that Josh was taking care of things in the short term and not forever or in the long term.
It's not what
I mean,
Josh
there's so
thinks.
many ways you can think about it.
I know, but that's not what Josh thinks. He signed a 10-month contract.
Right. Yeah. Right. But you know what? Denial, a good acronym for denial is don't even know I'm lying. And a lot of times the first person you lie to is yourself. And the last thing within the stages of grief that happens, it always starts with denial and it always ends with acceptance. That's a 100% fact. Everything in the middle of that can come in any order. It can be anger, then bargaining, bargaining, then anger. It doesn't matter. It always begins with denial and ends with acceptance. Somebody dies, the first thing you say is no. And then you finally come to accept that. Same thing in this situation. Bob Huggins needs to come to accept. Acceptance is not agreement. You don't have to agree with something. You're just accepting. He needs to come to terms with this because there's really not a whole lot he can do.
Yeah.
At least so far. I mean, a threat is one thing. A legal battle is another.
Yeah. Jacob Yoho, thank you for another super chat, my man. He says there is some CSI stuff going down in WVU. That's a pretty fair way to put it, man. Pretty fair way to put it.
Thanks, Jacob. Yeah,
thank you for the super chat, my man. If you guys want to be like Jacob, or be like Daniel Gigax, be sure to give us a super chat, and then make sure and it'll help us. It'll make sure your comment gets read as well. But yeah, I'm almost at a loss for words here. Let me see if there's been any updates on Hoppy's Twitter account here, Paul. While we're talking,
every time I see his name, I think, yo ho, it's off to work when I go.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna pull this up now. This is a letter. All right, let me see. Let me share this. Hoppy posted a link to the letter from Lewis, Brisbois, Biscard, and Smith LLP. I can't even say those names. By electronic mail. Regarding Robert E. Huggins, Western University head basketball coach. Dear President Gee, the law firm Lewis, I'm not even going to try to say it again, represents Robert Huggins. The purpose of this letter is to update WVU on Coach Huggins' current status and to plan his return to active duties as head basketball coach. If WVU is represented by counsel in this matter, please forward this letter to counsel for prompt review and response. However, Coach Huggins does not desire litigation. Rather, he is simply looking for the correction of a clear breach of his employment agreement with WVU. As you know, Coach Huggins is employed by WVU pursuant to an employment agreement in 2021. Says it remains in full force and effect, but it was amended with the First Amendment to employment agreement effective May 9th, 2023. That was the date of his contract, his change of contract. Copies of both agreements are attached here for your ease of review. The amendment changed the term of the employment agreement to conclude on April 30th, 2024. Based on press statements, it appears that the WV is taking the position that Coach Huggins voluntarily resigned and terminated the employment agreement in advance of April 30th, 2024. However, although the press statements purport to have resignation communications directly from Huggins to you and or the athletic director, Coach Huggins has never communicated his resignation to you, the athletic director, or anyone at WVU. To the contrary, we understand that the purported resignation is incredibly based on a text message from Coach Huggins' wife. Huh.
Wow.
Okay. Section 14.
That's not legally binding, I don't think,
No,
buddy.
I'm not going. I'm not going to go through all this. This is long, but there's a
We got the gist.
yep, yeah. I don't want to bore everybody there, but there's another one. There's a reply from the school as well.
Oh,
Yeah. Let me see. This is all on Twitter, so I'm not showing you anything. That, it's all public.
Brad Chatty, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, I wonder if it's his daughters behind this. Would explain the mixed messages. I don't, Brad, I appreciate the super chat. I don't want to make any accusations or even speculate on that yet. I've obviously she's had some things out there that are probably regrettable in hindsight for her, but at least hopefully. But you know, she may have had influence over the mom doing what she did, or it's hard to say, but certainly something to keep in mind.
Yeah, thank you for the super chat, Brad. Here's dear Mr. Campbell. This is back to the attorney. West Virginia University is in receipt of your July 7th, 2023 letter, which purports to be sent on behalf of Mr. Huggins. We are frankly confused by the allegations within the letter. Aside from being completely factually inaccurate, which we addressed briefly below, the allegations within this letter are at odds with my conversations yesterday with Mr. Bob Fitzsimmons, a West Virginia lawyer who has recently represented Mr. Huggins in various matters, and with the university's prior conversations and documented correspondence with Mr. James Rocky Gianola, Mr. Huggins is a longstanding lawyer who has historically represented him, who represented him during the May 2023 negotiations with the university. And he represented him in conversations with the university, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's get on to the meat here. Mr. Fitzsimmons called me to discuss the benefits to be provided under Mr. Huggins' contract as a result of his resignation and retirement. Just yesterday, or the day before this letter was sent. We specifically discussed the payment of his deferred compensation and annual leave balance payout, both of which would not be currently owed to Mr. Huggins if he had not resigned. It appears to us that you may not be aware that Mr. Fitzsimmons has been proceeding under that very same understanding as the university. Wow. The conflicting communications and correspondence. Let me see. Okay, here we go. What is clear, however, is that on the evening of June 17th, Mr. Huggins met with members of the men's basketball staff and student athletes to announce that he would no longer be coaching the team. The same evening at 9:38 p.m., following a series of written and verbal communications with Mr. Gianola, who was acting as his counsel, Mr. Huggins clearly communicated his resignation and retirement to the university in writing via email, not text message. Later that same night at 9:42, Rim Baker, with a carbon copy to me as general counsel, wrote back via email accepting Mr. Huggins' resignation and retirement. So they have documentation of this. It sounds like of his emails. So it's almost like he just suddenly had a change of heart, is what it sounds like here. And there's and there's multiple attorneys here. This is just weird, man. To be honest.
Yeah, and here's the thing, man. If I was in that situation and I wanted a way out of that situation, it'd be very easy for me to say, "Oh, my wife sent that text," right?
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that he lied or he is lying, but if you were looking for a way out, there's no way to really prove who sent the text, apparently, And maybe she did send it. I'm not saying she did, but it's this feels thrown together like, okay, I don't want this now, and how can we basically back off of this resignation thing? Oh, well, your wife sent a text or something crazy. Like it's not like this is ironclad or anything like that. And we can only hope that there aren't discrepancies in the resignation. God.
Well, it sounds to me like there are multiple attorneys on this, and it sounds to me like they're not all on the same page.
Right.
That's what it sounds like. And I mean, part of this letter, which I'm not going to read verbatim, was, we need to know who's representing him. Who are we supposed to be communicating with here in this? Who is his attorney? Right. That's, but anyway, that just gives you everybody an idea of how messy this thing's getting.
There's a lot of selfish behavior going on, and some players that aren't being thought of here. But
Yeah, I
fans,
agree. The players, uh,
we the fans, we're the ones that suffer.
the
you
Twitter,
know,
the Twitter Spaces I was referring to was run by Curry Hicks Sage, who's actually doing one as we speak, uh, on Twitter, which doesn't surprise me. But anyway, very interesting stuff. Not good, and not in a good way either. Like you was talking about earlier, Paul. This cannot be good. The timing is terrible because of these recruits they had there this weekend, man. I mean, this definitely doesn't help our chances of getting these
no,
guys
not at all.
in the old gold.
Negative recruiting. Coaches are going to use this to negatively recruit against us. Believe that. As soon as somebody starts to maybe look like they're leaning our direction, XYZ coach can say, "You sure you want to go there? It's about to get really nasty. Ireland might not even be the coach. Huggins might be coming back. You want to play for that drunk?" I mean, there's so many ways, and if the money's equal, why would any kid come into this situation now?
Yeah.
It's just really frustrating.
Liquid Code says he used to know Rocky G. That's the attorney. There's no way he would risk his entire life and work to turn on WVU and our community. I think it's these outside attorneys up to some BS. Krista, he did meet with the team. That's what was in that letter. He met with the team and told them he would no longer be their coach. And they even had the time, 9:38 p.m., I think it said, or whatever.
Yeah.
The Eternal Energy says he's supporting Hugs until proven otherwise, and that's fine. That's your right to do that. I'm gonna put a little bit of let's not get carried away. This could happen to any school at any time, and actually has several times in the past. We take it for us personal fans, but it will be okay. Agreed, Joey. This is not, our life's not going to be over because of it, but it's still not, it's still not a
No, my life is over. My life is over.
Put it this way, at least we're not Northwestern. Okay. What they're going through right now is worse. So I guess we need
I thought about doing a video on that.
Yeah, I almost did, but I don't think every time I've ever done a Big Ten episode, nobody watches it. So
yeah,
and that would be hard to cover, man. That's some very disturbing stuff. I don't think anyone.
I don't even know all the details.
I don't think anyone cares that he got a DUI. Honestly, it's 2023. Yep, a lot of people care. That's why he got fired, in my opinion.
What do you mean nobody cares, man? They're think about how many people have family members that.
I think he meant the players that might come.
Oh, okay. The players? No. Actually, what has happened would indicate the opposite. To be honest with you, the players were mad that he was let go.
Yeah, and LeBurn, you're taking it totally out of context. He was talking about from a player's perspective. That's on a visit here. Someone could be telling the player that Hugs is a drunk. Paul's not calling him a drunk. You need to listen to the entire sentence and not just four words, dude. That I ain't gonna lie to you, LeBurn. That kind of ticks me off. Why would you come in here and accuse Paul of saying something he didn't even say? He was saying it from the perspective of the player. Jiminy Christmas, man. People don't listen.
Right. Or a coach. I was trying to say, if you're another coach and you're trying to recruit one of these transfer portal players and you hear they're interested in West Virginia, there's a thing called negative recruiting. It happens all around the country in all sports, where a coach will talk badly about another university in order to try to get a player. It happens all the time. And I was making a point that now a coach can say, are you sure you want to play for West Virginia University for that drunk? Because that's probably how some guys would say that.
Right.
It's not how I view the situation.
Right. Yeah, it's not your word. He was not saying those are his words. There are probably
It was just
people using that
hypothetical.
against him. Yes. Uh, I was trying to. I had a comment I was wanting to put up there, and
I like that one you got on the screen. It's pretty funny.
with the Talladega Nights one.
Yeah,
We tried hard, and we're all still dear friends.
yeah,
Mike King says this is partially due to the prediction that was passed around people, the petition that was passed around, people signed about him maintaining his status, and that brings up a good point. Because of Bob Huggins' stature, I think there's a lot of people who are trying. Let me back up a minute. I want to say this properly. There could potentially be a lot of people trying to use this for their own personal gain, and that's what worries me about this situation.
yeah,
And talking Hugs into doing things, uh, and enabling him to a degree, which is not good for the program and may not even be good for him, to be frank.
yeah.
How long will this be? Will this take to play out? Who knows, man?
Legal battles are never short. If it
Anton,
goes to
this is
that.
Anton. This is a comment I can get behind. He says the proper thing for Huggins to do was say, "Hey, I messed up. I made a mistake, but I love West Virginia University more than my career. I'll always have West Virginia in my heart, but I have to leave." That's yeah,
Yeah, and this is the other thing, man. He had a real opportunity to be celebrated. He had an opportunity to possibly come in as a, kind of like a Barry Switzer, kind of like a guy like, um, not Barry Switzer, but the other guy that used to coach at Wisconsin. What's his name? I'm sorry, his name's slipped my mind. I'm so tired. Anyway, he's going to lose all that if he sues the university, man. I just, I never wanted a world without him in it all the way with West Virginia. Sucks. But that's what would happen if he sued, probably.
yeah. The positive side, average Cody, good comment.
Barry Alvarez.
Very out. Yeah, I could think of. I thought the Alvarez, but I couldn't remember his first name. The positive side to all this is that he's been in rehab and getting the help he needs. That's a huge positive. Absolutely. Totally 100% agree with that, average Cody. Totally agree with it. Um,
That's a good question, JD. Um,
yeah, put that up there. I didn't see it. I missed it.
I don't see how he does, but what if Hux has a case? Is at the end of Gee? It's probably going to be the end of Gee anyway. I don't know. I mean, his contract is up when? Next year or the year after?
I think it's next year,
Next
2024.
year.
I think sometime, but I don't know the
And
exact date.
and he's almost 12 years older than Bob Huggins is. He's another guy that really needs to look at retirement. But this is yet another thing that probably is happening partially because of him. He didn't do anything Suggs did, but the way he's handled some of these situations, obviously, probably could have been handled better. It's hard for me to believe that you know most university presidents would have us in the situation we're in right now financially, uh, button heads with so many different people. It's a mess with him.
Yeah. Cole D, good comment here. He says, "Don't even think for a second a coach wouldn't use that guilt towards parents of recruits too." Absolutely. That's what Paul was trying to convey there. Negative recruiting. It happens every day. John Kelly says it seems like forces are sure trying to do us in. A lot of meddling for sure. Yep, you got
Yeah,
it. You hit
there's sharks in the circle in the water for sure.
absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to check real quick to make sure there's been no more updates from Hoppy because he's the one that
Hoppy,
seems to be
hoppy, hoppy.
he's the one that seems to be really on top of this story here. Nope, that was the last. That was the last thing. Man, what a mess.
Average Cody, this is coming from probably the most respected journalist in the state of West Virginia. So
Yep.
it's not a random source at all, man. Hoppy Kercheval, it's hard to say his last name, Kercheval, is like he owns basically a news organization in West Virginia and also is very prominent Three Guys Before the Game. He also has a beer company that's extremely successful now.
Well, he Yeah, Hoppy. I mean, he runs Talk Line every day. He's on Talk Line every morning. That's just a news show, and then he does some sports stuff as well. And then in football season, he does some radio stuff. But and he covers the elections and everything every year, every election cycle. Um, and I actually just every Cody, you may not have been on here yet, but I actually just Hoppy was able to get a hold of the letters that were emailed back and forth between the attorneys, the WVU attorney, general counsel, and also the attorneys for Hugs. So it's real. I mean, there are letters out there in the public domain now showing that this is actually happening. So,
You can take it to the bank when Hoppy tweets it anyway.
oh yeah, yeah, Hoppy's not going to put something out there that's yeah. It's not like he's not just some random guy.
Yeah, exactly, Philip Anderson. They don't
What'd he
call him
say?
the dean.
Oh, the dean. Yeah, they do call him the dean. That's good.
Yeah,
Good point. Yeah. No, it wasn't. It's not from Hugs directly. No, it's from his attorneys. One of his attorneys, and that's another part of the thing. There's like 3 different attorneys dealing with this, and they're not all on the. They don't all appear to be on the same page. Some have acknowledged his resignation, and others haven't.
yeah.
Uh,
We got one attorney asking about benefits and retirement or resignation. What's going to go? What's going to happen with the. And then we've got this situation with them. They're directly conflicting with each other.
uh, Aaron, it should let you do super chats, man. We've gotten 4 already, so I'm not sure what's going on. Uh,
If
yeah, I
it
mean,
is
there's
messing up, we can toss a cash app down in the chat box.
pretty simple. There's my tag. But yeah, I don't know why it wouldn't do super chats unless it could be there could be something wrong. There could be a glitch, something with YouTube. Who knows? But we have received some already, so it should be. It should be. Let's Go Mountaineer says, I want to know how Jose got all his NIL money. It just took off without ever playing at all. How can they get money? It's not about playing, man. That's the thing with NIL. You can't pay them to play. You're paying them to do autograph sessions,
Appearances. Yeah.
appearances, commercials. They're getting paid for that. They're not getting paid to play. That's the whole purpose of it. So once you pay them, I don't know that there's any paying it back at that point. As long as they fulfill their obligation to whoever the company was that did the NIL money, the NIL deal with, then there's probably nothing they can do. That's why the market's going to eventually correct itself because these donors are going to get tired of paying money to players who don't follow through on their uh, commitments or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, Super Chat's working on my end, just
How
so
would you,
everybody knows.
how would you feel if they brought him back? Well, if they bring him
If
back, that it means he was right, probably,
Yeah,
and I'd be okay with it. It would be a terrible look for Western University, terrible look, and they would. I how I don't know that Gordon Gear or Renbacker either one would survive it. To be frank, that happened. Uh,
yeah, it'd be a mess if he
but I
came
just don't
back.
see. But I just don't see how. I mean, they apparently have email communications from his attorneys and everything saying he resigned. So I don't know how in the world he even has a case. Just to be honest.
Yeah,
Uh, Coach somewhere else. I don't see why not.
not this season. No, it's too close to this. Something a coach would have to get fired or God forbid get hurt or something like that for him to have there be an opening that he can jump into as of like this year. Because I mean the season's literally just a couple months away. Rosters are set. But if you're talking about 2024, yeah, somebody probably take a chance on him.
Joey Foster, thanks for the $2 super chat. He says, working here just fine. Thank you, Joey. Uh, Average Cody says, good to be all made up from attorneys. Um, when you say all made up, I'm assuming you mean could this just be attorneys trying to, and I kind of mentioned that earlier. This almost has a feel of people trying to um, gain something from this. Maybe I don't know, and I don't want to say that's happening because I don't want to accuse anybody of anything. But it has that feel to it that there are
Yeah.
people there are people in Hugs's ear or other people's ear saying, "Hey, you need to do this because they didn't do this and this," all this stuff. But it's not made up. I mean, it's not made up because, like I said, there's documentation of the email communication between the university's general counsel and Huggins' attorneys. I think mine is blocked. Oh, you had it up there already. I think mine is blocked for some reason. I'll try a different account. Okay, Aaron. Yeah, I don't know what it could be, man. I would love to help you out because obviously I'd love to get your super chat, but I don't know what it could be, man. And the thing is too with each device, depending on how you're watching us, it could be a little different, right? Whether it's on an iPhone, an Android, on a computer, whatever, it could be a little different. I don't know. Just feel like he'd
Guys,
want
if
to
you haven't,
speak. This isn't from Hugs. He'd want to speak on it. Well, I think Hugs is a piece of it. Yeah, I'm not saying Hugs. Hugs would have had to have given the attorney the okay to do this. Yes, I would think. Go ahead, Paul. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no worries. Guys, if you haven't liked the video, we ask that you just hit that like button, move that mouse clicker or that finger over just a half an inch and hit that like button for us. It helps with the YouTube algorithm so that after this live video is over, other people will watch it. Drop a comment below if you're watching this after the fact, during the fact, whatever. Let us know how you feel about Bob Huggins and his demand to be reinstated as head ball coach at West Virginia University. And last but not least, guys, if you're not subscribed to Hoops from the Hills, Couz's Corner, or Mountaineer Paul Talk Football, we ask that you do so. Couz and I work really hard covering Mountaineer athletics, Big 12 athletics, and on a national scale too when we have time. We certainly appreciate each and every one of our subscribers. You mean a ton to us, guys.
Absolutely. Anton Chigurh, he says, listen, Chris Beard got hired at Ole Miss and Rick Pitino is at St. John's. If Huggins would just be humble, apologize, and go away quietly and get help, he could possibly coach again in the Power Five. Yes, he
Sure.
could. There's no reason he couldn't.
Patino's a good example because they're around the same age.
Right. Colt Rose says, resigns, he gets X dollars, fired, he gets Y dollars. And maybe, I don't know. I mentioned that earlier. Is that something his attorneys are trying to achieve here? I don't know. I don't want to try to speculate on what attorneys are doing or thinking or what their intentions are here. I've got to assume their intentions are all good, right? And that they feel like they're doing the right thing. That's what attorneys are for at the end of the day. What's the odds, if at all, he would get reinstated? I say very slim because the university seems to have proof that he resigned, according to their statement. This feels like a bad breakup scenario, eagerly clinging to a toxic relationship, even though it's best to cut ties and move on. Best wishes to Hugs, but we need to move on. That's a great way to put it, Brandon. I love the guy. I love what he's done for us, but it's time to move to the next chapter. And I think Josh Allard is a good bridge between the Hugs chapter and whatever chapter follows, you know? And as far as Omar goes, yeah. Am I crazy to think Omar could average more points per game next season? No. Omar's a shooter. He can shoot the lights out when he gets hot. So I see no reason he can't be a great scorer for us. I know there's been a lot of speculation as to whether or not he'll hit the portal because he's friends with Jose Perez, but they're their own men. They're their own guys. They can do what's best for them. And so far, he seems to be sticking it out. So we'll see.
Well, he sees the great opportunity in front of him on this team. Why would he go somewhere else when he's in line to start for this team as of right now? Now, a couple players show up, maybe he does hit the portal then, but he is a Sean McNeil level shooter, I would say. He and Sean McNeil remind me of each other as far as shooting ability goes. But he can score in a couple of other ways as well. I'm a pretty big Omar Silverio fan. He's got a lot of good film. If you go on his Twitter page, he's got something that it looks like Rucker Park or some kind of outside playground where he's really killing it. I'm a big fan of Jose. He shot 36% pretty much for the entirety of his career, which is well above average. nowadays in college basketball. So certainly has a chance. And he's had some really high scoring outputs. I think he's had a 28-point game. He's had a 38-point game. He's had some really high scoring outputs in the past. So he's capable of doing it. It's all been at a lower level Hofstra, Manhattan,
Yeah.
even though he didn't play at Manhattan. Really.
And I saw a question in the chat about why in the world would Hugs do this, and we did talk about that early on. So I understand. You probably weren't here for that, and that's okay. We appreciate you being here now. So I don't mind talking about it again. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that's disappointing about this is if Huggins really cares about the university and the school and the players and the team and everything, Josh Allard as a person, why do we think he should just move on from this? Um, which does make me it does make some doubt creep into my mind as to maybe he's right. Maybe there's something to this story. Maybe Huggins is right. I don't know. Uh, so I don't know, man. Let's just see how it all plays out. And that's what attorneys are for. That's what they get paid for. That's why they make the big bucks. Uh, but my gut feeling is here the West Virginia is going to end up coming out on the winning end of this. And Kelsey, that's a great point. And I think Paul touched on this earlier a little bit. But what if Josh Allard is on board with this?
Right.
Maybe, but didn't he sign a? I don't think he would have signed a contract with West Virginia
Yeah. The
if he.
likelihood of him being on board with not being a head coach when he's waited 17 years is extremely slim.
Yeah,
But here's what I'm saying. He's going to feel a ton of loyalty towards Bob Huggins. So it's not like he's going to go against Hugs openly either. So Josh is going to be in a tough spot here. He's probably going to try to toe the gray line and just try to make it through this because he's trying to field a basketball team on the court. He really can't afford to worry about this. It's really not having much to do with him until it does. You know what I'm saying? So
hmm
I think these guys are going to business as usual it, try to block out the noise. It's not like there hasn't been a bunch anyway. This team has been tested, man. And if they make it, if the core that's there now make it, I'll be really interested to see how they end up being because they're going to be tested beyond what a lot of these atmospheres can give.
right. Yeah, and Alex, that's what That's kind of our concern. It could push guys into the portal that's not entering the portal, or they're thinking about it, and it will make it harder for us to get guys out of the portal that we desperately need. I mean, we've only got 8 guys right now. If you assume Jose's gone, we've only got 8 guys remaining on the roster right
That's a good question, Anthony Perry. Very interesting. So if he technically didn't resign, does that mean the 30 window didn't exist to begin with? Oh Lord, my head's going to explode thinking
now. Oh,
about that one.
geez, yeah.
Lord
Golly,
have mercy.
I'm about to put my shades on and go into the speculation zone.
Yeah,
Like golden blue dude.
don't come
Wow.
in here asking them kind of questions, Perry. It's too late for it.
Kelsey says, "Ugh, I just love Huggins. I can't help but want him back. I'm biased. Yeah, that's understandable, man. We all love the guy. Uh,
Yeah.
his attorneys think he's got a shot at returning to active coach, according to Hoppy as well. Hmm,
Well, they're going to say that.
yeah, feels like a potential lawsuit too if he signed a contract and isn't on board. I know he's interim, but that thought it was for one season. It is for one season, basically. I mean, he signed a 10-month contract, which means he's coached for 10 months. Then obviously he's hoping to get interviewed for the permanent job once that's up. That's his goal. And Bob Huggins is not making it easier on him. I can tell you that. I tell you what, man. If I'm Josh Eilert, I'm pissed at Bob Huggins right now. Wouldn't you be?
If I'm Josh Eilert,
Yeah, I'm
pissed
pissed at
at
him.
him,
Yeah,
I'm definitely upset. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge
hurt.
distraction
I'm
for what
hurt.
you're
I'm
trying to
pissed.
do
I'm
right now.
something. Whatever it is, I'm something.
Yeah, for sure. He's probably definitely like, what is he thinking? But he probably knows. I mean, he's known him for 17 years, been it right in his shoulder. He's probably thinking he don't want to let go of this. You know, he knows how much it means to him. Uh, it's like You ever gone through a bad breakup with a girl that you didn't want to let go? I have. I know what that's like, man. You maybe you stalk her Facebook page when she's with the other guy. You do a date. It drives a stake through your heart, and it's similar in the situation with Hugs and WVU. And not only that, he's got his dad's legacy to live up to. He's got his mom's legacy to live up to. Who's he going to do fish fries for now in his mom's name? Who's going to come to that? What platform does he have to sell it? And all these things come up for Coach Hugs. And I think you start, it's like Joe Paterno. I always said he probably would have lived another 10 years had he been able to coach Penn State football. But the way things ended there, he died 6 months later. But, obviously he had health issues too. But I think, seriously, not having something to live for, people die for that. So my biggest fear for Coach Hugs in this situation is I just hope he can make it through these tough and dark moments. I know this is selfish what he's doing right now, but I'm always going to hope that he lands on his feet.
Yeah. I just got a text from somebody that says, and I'm not going to name a name here because I don't know if they want me to, but it says they work in court every day, and emails or text, neither emails nor text are binding. So that's interesting. Um,
Right.
and I've got a couple
Oh
of
yeah.
attorney contacts I'm going to reach out to probably tomorrow. I don't want to reach out to them this late unless I see they're online or something. But I'll probably wait till
All right.
tomorrow to do it and just get their take on this to see. They're not going to say a lot, I'm sure, because they don't know the details of the case. But they could at least say, "Hey, are emails binding or text binding? Does it have to be
Yeah.
a handwritten signature? Whatever. I don't know." But that could be interesting. And maybe Hugs didn't. Here's another take on this that I just now thought of. Just had this, as Outlaw of College Football likes to say, I had this epiphany from the college basketball gods. But what if Hugs didn't realize that none of that was binding, and this other attorney said, "Hey, man," and the other attorneys didn't tell him that, and this attorney did. They're like, "Look, Bob, none of that's binding, man. If you don't have this in writing, then you never actually resigned. Think about that. That's possible here."
That's definitely what it feels like, and taking another step further, if that's the case, whose head rolls as a result? Who didn't do the thing that needed to be done? Who didn't get the signature? Who didn't go make it? Who didn't get it done? Is it a Gee thing again? Was that his job? Was he slipping at 80 years old? What the hell's going on here?
Brad Cheney says, "Glad you guys are here to talk this out. Otherwise, I'd just be walking around my house cussing." Brad, thank you for the $5 super chat, my man. Uh, really
Mucho
appreciate your
apreciado.
support. You support us on this channel. You support us on our football channels, man. It means a lot. As do a
Yep.
lot of you other guys here. John Kelly supports us. Whitlack. Most of you guys in here really support us.
Yoho.
Daniel Gigax. Um,
Joey.
I don't want to leave
A
anybody out.
lot
Joey
of you.
Foster. And Joey
All
mentioned
of you.
Travis. Joey mentioned Travis Kenobi. That's one of the lawyer people I had in mind. I want to get his thoughts on this, obviously. And I
Yeah.
know Travis is extremely ethical and guy of high integrity, and I know he won't comment on anything that he's not comfortable commenting on. So, he'll be honest with me. If he can't answer, he won't answer. Um, Thank you, Aaron. We appreciate you, man.
We
Really
do.
do. Means a lot. Uh, but as I said that a minute ago about the not binding, I got to thinking. West Virginia has their own attorney. If that attorney didn't think it was binding, then they wouldn't have done it. Right? I mean, they're not going to do something that's not legally binding. I wouldn't think. It said
Right.
that Ren carbon copied the attorney on all of his communications with Hugs. So I don't know. This is crazy.
It's crazy, dude. Hey, I got a thing from Jay Coons here I'm going to check out real quick. One
Okay.
sec.
All right. Yeah, for any of you who might doubt Paul's ability or that he has sources, he just got a message from Jay Coons. So take that for what it's worth. And I know he's not lying because I've seen screenshots of stuff.
Uh,
And to be frank with
okay.
you, if I thought he was lying, I wouldn't be. He and I wouldn't be partners. So what Is it anything you can talk about or no?
No,
If okay,
I
all
can't.
right, okay, all right, that's
Sorry.
cool. No, it's okay. I don't want you to.
You guys watch my show, Mountaineer Paul Talks Football. I just did a show on Tony Gibson yesterday. I posted the screenshots of mine in his conversation. You guys know me by now. I'm not going to lie about this stuff, you know. But I'll just say this: they're doing their own thing there. They've got their eye on the prize. They're recruiting kids, and don't expect that to stop. They've got deadlines they have to meet. They've got a roster to fill out, and they're doing it. So just in the next week, just be prepared for some pretty good news. We're going to start filling out this roster with or without this bad news that's going on. That's about all I can say at the moment.
Putting my Cash App tag in here, and another good thing about Cash App, guys. Anytime you do a super chat, and I'm not telling you not to do a super chat because I'll take them. We'll take them. But if you pay us through Cash App, YouTube, anytime you do a super chat, YouTube gets a piece of gets a cut of the money. If you send us money through Cash App, we get every penny of it. So if that's if you guys want to support us through that way, it actually we actually get more of it anyway. Um, just thought I'd throw that out there. I actually got that idea from Outlaw of College Football because he says that during his show. Thank you, Kelsey. We appreciate you, man. Um, Cash App is in the chat. I'll put it up on the screen.
Sorry about that.
That is obviously mine, but I will send Paul his half of it. So no
He
worries
won't
there.
give it to me. He won't.
Just like I said a minute ago, if either of us were dishonest, we wouldn't be working together.
Right.
It wouldn't be working. But
Yeah.
we appreciate everybody's support. We got 175. We got up over 200 a minute ago.
Yeah.
11:30 at night. We couldn't be thanking you guys enough for all the support. We're going to have to read a couple more comments here, and we're going to have to probably jump off of here. But it says Mark says he resigns on his own. He leaves money on the table. He is fired. There is likely a buyout. The answer to most questions is money, money, money. And we mentioned that earlier, Mark. You could be onto something there. Jameson Hartian says, "Hey guys, I have practiced civil law for 32 years. This should be good. Hugs has a possible case here. The key one, will he be willing to go to rehab? And he already has, I think, Jameson. And two, did he offer that to stay? And from everything I read, he did. He did offer to go to rehab, or at least let me back up a little
He's
bit.
currently in rehab, from what we understand right
Yeah,
now.
he's in it now. And according to what his daughter put out, remember the tweet from his daughter, he he offered that, and they basically said no. It didn't even give him the option. Uh, so this is all starting to tie in together. I'm wondering if what his daughter put out is true. Makes you wonder.
Back to the daughter again. My head's going to explode twice tonight.
I heard he offered to go to rehab, and they flat out said no. Take that for what it's worth. I'm not connected like Paul. Well, his daughter said the same thing in her message. If you guys saw it,
Yeah.
oh, he's talking to Big Aaron. Just sent Cash App.
Well, what do you have a comment or anything, Big Aaron? Anything you want to say?
Yeah, if you do,
I
man.
mean, that's what comes with it.
Yeah, all good, Joey. Joey put WTF instead of WTG. That definitely could get misconstrued, Joey. That's for sure. I just got a text. Let me see who this is from. Oh, it's from Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. Cash App just sent me the notification. Thank you, man.
If you got a question or comment, Big Aaron, just
Yep.
let it layer
Yep.
on there, buddy.
If Uggs loved this program, he would never have done this out in the open. Lawyers talk him to do this. I don't think it. He probably didn't intend to do it out in the open. The media got a hold of it, which is what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hoppy's super connected, man. He's
Hoppy's
going to
very
get
well
all of it.
connected, and Hoppy got the information from somebody. Don't know who. Somebody wanted it out there though. It wouldn't have gotten leaked if it wasn't wanted. If they didn't want it to leak, nothing.
Right.
Nothing leaks on purpose, guys. I'm telling you,
It
nothing
would
leaks on purpose.
be I mean, it's obviously in. It's probably been leaked to Hoppy from the Huggins lawyers, which is how he got the information he got.
Probably.
It only benefits the Huggins lawyers for this to be leaked. It does not benefit West Virginia University for this news to come out early at all. So I'm sure they would want, number one, it to be pushed back until they could mount a correct response rather than this time of night. Number two, after the portal window closes. That's a big deal right now.
I bet, man. Can you imagine? I want to see the look on Trey Mitchell's face if Bob Huggins comes back.
That'd be wild, bro.
Well, I
He
mean,
could transfer back. He's a
well
graduate.
he's got a bag. He's probably getting a bag from Kentucky. He's not coming
Oh
back.
yeah, yeah. I'm just saying.
And here's Big Aaron's comment, I guess, that he wants us to read. So since he sent us money, says, "I'd love to meet up with you guys at a game sometime. I live in Atlanta, but from Parkersburg. It'd be cool, man. I'm hoping one of these days I can do one of these meetup deals and just meet up with a lot of my viewers. It'd be cool.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. We could have a like a watch party, maybe with 10 or 20 of you at the game, basketball, football, whatever, what have you. That'd be pretty fun. Just go ahead and we just all get down to the student section. We can get Couz's corner written on all of our stomachs.
That's funny. Jamison Harden said there was also a comment that maybe Huggins pushes players to transfer out. With this many transfers, it feels weird to me. I wonder if they knew he was treated unfairly. That's Jameson. It's definitely something to think about. Uh, hmm.
I was under the impression that he was working on kids to get them to stay, like Kercheval. I mean, who knows?
uh, Trey says either of you. I'm not going to Penn State, but I am going to Pitt. Trey, I've already got my tickets.
I'll probably be going to Pitt as well, as long as it's not sold out before this coming month.
Yeah, I don't have them. I don't have them in my hand yet, but but I have purchased them through WVU, and they're supposed to send them to me a few weeks before the game.
How much are those Pitt tickets right now?
Well, I got the mini plan where I get three. You get tickets for 3 games for $200, but I'm not sure if they're. I don't know if there's any left or not. Probably are. I would say. Uh, is WVU stupid enough to not get a signed letter of resignation? That's kind of the question here, Krista.
That's why we're bringing up Gee's name for it. This would, I mean, I don't know for sure who this would be on, but he would probably be his head that would be rolling over this. He's just he's right on the precipice of losing that job. Just there's so much outside pressure to get him ousted based on the debt, based on the antics, based on just a lot of different things with Gee. That I mean,
Keeping Neil
there's a
Brown,
lot. Could be, yeah, that
the the
too.
the, the buyout that he approved for Neil Brown back in 2020 that got Shane Lyons fired. Gee had to approve that. Gee had to sign off on that. So did the board.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a great point.
is Huggins trying to save the program? Think about it. Maybe in his mind he is. Look, everything we've
Yeah,
said in this show up to this point has been speculation based on what we've seen and heard on Hoppy's Twitter account. Uh, but we don't actually know what's going on behind the scenes. And it's very possible, very, very possible Bob Huggins could have a case. It's very possible he could be right. And it's very possible Western University could be in the wrong here. It's all very possible. And if that's
ESPN
the case,
just picked up the Huggins news. Sorry.
they're just now getting it.
Yeah, it just now flashed
Where,
across my
where they where
screen.
they been? It's 11:30 p.m. and you and I've been on here for an hour and 15 minutes. We're at
11:32. Former WVU men's coach Bob Huggins says he never resigned following a drunk a drunken driving arrest and wants his job back! Exclamation points.
ESPN. You're late. Me and Paul's been
You're
on it for an
late.
hour and 15 minutes. Oh, I'll tell the chat how great of a man Couz is. I had a 50-yard line seats, third row back from the backyard brawl last year, thanks to Couz. That's the kind of person he is. I hope to repay him one day. Joey, buddy. Don't worry about it. That's what friends do, man.
You
Steve says
you
that's
do it
not.
every time we're in a chat room, man. For us.
Yep, that's right. That was my repayment to you for what you had done for me. Things you've done to help me out early on in my channel. Steve Thomas says I smell a big rat, and its name is Gee.
Geek,
Great.
geek, geek, geek.
But yeah, this is all. It's not good, but at least we all got each other here to talk about it amongst each other, amongst ourselves, and amongst friends and WV family. We're just all one big family here, guys. Let's face it.
Yep.
Hoops from the Hills family.
We're one big dysfunctional family.
That's right. Just make sure you call me over for dinner. My gosh. You guys are always late now, ESPN. You got first. Okay, Jacob. Thank you for the $2 soup. I think there might be some autocorrect in there or something because I'm trying to decipher what you're trying to say, Jacob. You guys are always late now, ESPN. Oh, I think he's saying you guys are always late, ESPN. We got it first. I think
Yep.
that's what he was. I think that's what he was trying to say. Paul, that was needed.
Oh, the geeky. Yeah.
I guess, or the dysfunctional family.
Yeah.
I quit paying the message boards for the news. I come here for the news. Keep up. Hey, thank you, Mountaineer. We appreciate you, man. ESPN just now came out with it. Yeah, ESPN, you can pay us our. You can pay Paul and I for the. If you want to, some commission for helping you guys out. You can get ESPN can get the information from us, can't they, Paul?
Yes, absolutely.
In this case, anyway.
Or my hind end's hurting.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I get it a lot because I'm on Twitter way too much.
Yeah.
Gordon Gee came from Ohio State. No wonder he sucks.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you for saying it.
I knew that.
Ohio yeah. Ohio stank.
Yeah. WV
suck
football
eyes.
going deep. He says, I said that if Huggins didn't admit his problem and get help, we hadn't seen the last of the behavior issues. He supposedly went to rehab, but if so, it was much too brief. Heart not in it. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know enough. I'm not going to comment on rehab because I don't know a lot about it. Not sure. At the end of the day, if a person doesn't want to quit, rehab's not going to help them anyway.
Yep.
Kelsey Whitlack, Ohio Stank, haha, literal Paul, LOL. Yeah, TBT in 2 weeks. And Paul and I have actually, you bring up something. Would you guys, and I don't know if we'll be able to, because keep in mind we're both of us have 2 channels to try to work here, but is that something you guys would want us to try to cover or no? The TBT stuff?
I mean, it's literally, and it's starting to become more the last couple generations of players are really starting to fill that roster out.
Right.
Yeah.
Sean McNeil's going to be on the roster. Kedrian Johnson's on the roster. They also got
speaking of Ohio Stank, Sean McNeil's going to be on the roster.
Yep. Drew Alara, Penn State looks absolutely good. Going to be tough to go in there and win.
Yeah,
yes, he is.
Good.
He's a freshman,
good.
But he's a freshman. We got to keep that in mind. He is a freshman. There will be some growing pains. If we can get pressure on him, we might be able to force him into some mistakes.
He is, man, he looks good. In the spring game, he looked really good.
Did he look better than Garrett?
Oh, Drew Alar? Yeah.
Yeah. Did he?
Yeah, this is this is an Arch Manning type prospect. You know what I mean? This guy, man, he can make every throw. He's mobile. He can throw it on the move, both left or right. Really good at getting his shoulders squared to the line of scrimmage, rolling to his left, and he can make tough throws. Now that doesn't answer the questions. What does he do in an atmosphere like there's going to be? What happens when he gets hit in the mouth? What happens, when somebody disguises a coverage and he doesn't get it right, throws a pick? How does he respond? All the important factors, the intangibles for a quarterback. We don't know about him yet. We know a little bit about Garrett. We know he plays with his hair on fire, and he's going to give it 100%. Body be damned. Whether he gets hurt or not, it doesn't really matter. He's going to give it. So don't know those things about Drew Lar yet. We'll find out. Physically, he's there.
Yeah. Randall Lowe says, I have a good source to talk to his lawyers, and Hugs has a case to get his job back. That's what we keep hearing. I've now heard it from 3 people that are either attorneys, no attorneys, or work in the legal.
It would be wild, man.
I hate it for Josh Allert because I feel like he's getting screwed here either way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, man. Because even if Hugs gets his job back, what happens to Aldert's? Then Aldert's going to say, "Wait a minute, you owe me $1.5 million here."
Well,
right?
That's the problem we run into. Does Eilert have a case then to sue?
Because I mean, if I'm Josh?
I mean,
Allert,
they can take the interim tag off anytime they want, though.
I want my money, right?
The money they'll probably give him. Yeah, they probably give him 1.5. 3 installments.
He says keep Josh Allert's pay raise and still keep him. But he also wants to. It's not just about money here. Josh Allert's dream is to be a head coach, guys, and he's finally getting to achieve that. You know, and if Hugs comes in and takes that away from him, it doesn't sit. It doesn't sit well with me. I'll be honest with you. But at the same time, if Hugs feels like he's been done wrong, then I also see the point there in trying to fight for what's right. It's just a tough situation all the way around.
It is.
Big Aaron says TBT is WVU's bad habit of living in the past too much. We do live in the past.
I see where you're going. I see where you're going with that.
But other teams have their teams too, so it's not just us. Now there are a lot of guys on it who didn't play at WVU, which is kind of weird to me. But I get wanting to be head. I get wanting to be head coach, but he's more than 10 times the salary. Oh, I get it. I get it. I feel like it's hard to take back him physically telling the players he was not going to coach the team this year. Ha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair. But we don't know exactly how he said it. Did he come in and say, "Hey guys, they're not going to let me coach you guys this year"? I mean, we don't know exactly what he said to the players. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
He may not have said, "I'm resigning." He may have said, "I can't coach you guys this year. They're not going to let me." Maybe he.
Next
you know what
year,
I'm saying?
Maybe. Yeah. Right.
We don't know the conversation there, and probably never will, and shouldn't really. What goes on in the locker room should stay in the locker room. And it'll probably come out. It may end up coming out if this goes to court. Who knows? Well, guys, listen. Anything else, Paul? Before we sign off.
No, I was going to say, just if you're just joining us, guys, Bob Huggins is demanding his job back, saying that he didn't actually resign from the position, and that his wife sent a text in his stead saying he resigned, and that there's no legal basis for that. Several people are trying to corroborate that and said that he has possibly a case to get his job back. That's what the show is about. Just like, subscribe, and comment, guys, away. We appreciate all. It's been about 200 of you in here tonight, on and off. We really appreciate it. Really do. Thanks for all the super chats, guys, and all the support. It means a ton.
Yeah.
I'm ready for bed.
Yeah, me too. Real quick, guys, one more thing. One more time, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Dutch Miller Auto Group. They have locations all throughout West Virginia. They also have locations in Charlotte, North Carolina, El Dorado, Kansas, and Bristol, Tennessee. Next time you're ready to buy a vehicle, go check out. They're nice enough to support our work here. So go next time you're looking for a vehicle, go check out the folks at Dutch Miller Auto. We appreciate their support here on the channel. They're the home for friends and family pricing. So, guys, we appreciate you guys hopping on here with us, talk about this with us. We appreciate your support. Please, if you haven't yet, like us on the way out. If you're watching this on the replay, you can still hit the like button. It still helps. The algorithms, still drop a comment, still subscribe. All of it helps us. So, guys, once again, we thank you. This live stream is over, and we are out.
Have a good evening, guys.